Have you ever looked up into the sky and wondered what was there? Higher than birds, past the clouds, and further than the moon. A whole host of fascinating objects spin in the outer space. Let us imagine for a moment that we can leave the Earth behind and explore the solar system that surrounds it. We call it the solar system because everything in it is centered around the sun, and the solar means something to do with the sun. The sun is a star, just like many of the stars that you can see in the night sky, just many times closer to us. Still, sun is very far away from the earth, almost 93 million miles away. That's why it looks so small, even though it is the biggest object in the solar system. In fact, the sun makes more than 99% of the mass in solar system. If you put all these planets, moons, asteroids, comets, and everything else in the solar system together, they would make less than 1/4 of a percent of it. The sun is so huge that it is more than 100 times wider than the earth. And if there were a giant jar that you could fit more than 1 million earths into. More than that, the sun is what holds the solar system together. Its massive gravity, it is what keeps the Earth and all the planets circling around it instead of drifting off the space. The sun is what allows us to live on the Earth. Without the sun, there would be no heat, there would be no light. Plants could not grow, water would freeze, and nothing could survive. Sun gives us heat and light because it's always burning. It's a giant ball of gas, mostly hydrogen and helium, and it burns at million degrees Celsius. Let us leave the sun now and explore the planets. As we move away from the sun, the first planet we will encounter is Mercury. Mercury is the smallest planet in the solar system, much smaller than the Earth. Mercury is a lot like our moon. It is small and has a rocky surface with craters on it. It has no moon of its own and no air to breathe. You probably wouldn't enjoy a visit to Mercury since the temperature are boiling hot in sun and freezing cold in the shade. Something interesting about Mercury is that it is the fastest planet to go around the sun. It takes only 88 days. Next is Venus, the second planet. Some people call Venus Earth's sister because the two planets are very close in size and gravity, but they are very different on the surface. First of all, it is very hot. Venus is the hottest planet in the solar system. It's not as close as Mercury, but its thick atmosphere of carbon dioxide helps it to track heat and stay warmer than its neighbor. It has a thick atmosphere, but it is not one you could breathe. Venus might not be fun to visit, but it is beautiful to look at. It is the second brightest object in the night sky. After Venus comes Earth, the third planet from the Sun. Of course, you know all about the Earth because that's the planet we live. Earth is what's called a Goldilocks planet because it is not too hot and not too cold. It's just right. As far as we know, Earth is the only planet to have living things. Earth is mostly iron, oxygen, and silicon. You know that 70% of Earth's surface is covered in water. The Earth's atmosphere extends to a distance of 10,000 kilometers. It actually takes 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 4 seconds for the Earth to complete one rotation on its axis. Earth has one moon. The moon is Earth's only natural satellite and it is the fifth largest moon in the solar system. The moon's presence helps in stabilizing our planet's orbit and moderate our climate. The moon's distance from Earth is about 240,000 miles or 385,000 kilometers. The moon has a very thin atmosphere called exosphere. Let's leave the Earth again for a moment though and visit Mars, the fourth planet from the Sun. Mars is known as the red planet because iron oxide in the soil gives it a reddish color. Mars is smaller than Venus and Earth but larger than Mercury. It is cold and rocky with a thin atmosphere made of carbon dioxide and oxygen. There is water ice on Mars. Scientists are very interested in Mars because they think that people could live there with the help of some special equipments. Mars has two moons of its own. Mars moons are small and irregular. Jupiter comes next, the fifth planet in the solar system. Jupiter is the largest planet and is called a gas giant. It is called this because it is really big and made mostly of gases. Jupiter has 67 moons. People cannot land on Jupiter because it is made of gases. Jupiter is covered by terrible storms, much stronger than even the strongest storm on the Earth. One such storm that we know can be seen from the Earth. We call it the Great Red Spot because that's what it looks like, and it has been going on for last 200 years. After Jupiter comes Saturn, another gas giant. Saturn is famous for its beautiful rings. Although they look solid from a distance, the rings are actually made from many small ice particles as well as rocks and dust. And Saturn has also more than 60 moons orbiting around it, some as large as planet Mercury and some much smaller. Something interesting about Saturn is that even though it is very large, it is not very dense. That means that if you could find a bathtub large enough to put Saturn in it would float instead of sink. Saturn is the furthest planet that could be seen from Earth without the help of a telescope. After Saturn comes Uranus, the seventh planet from the Sun. Uranus is another gas giant, but it is smaller than Saturn and Jupiter. Unlike any other planet in solar system, it is tilted so much that it actually spins sideways. Uranus has rings around it, although they are much smaller than Saturn's and 27 known moons. Uranus is covered in blue clouds made of methane, which gives it a beautiful color. Uranus is the coldest planet in the solar system, and its atmosphere contains ice in it. Very similar to Uranus is Neptune, the eighth planet from the Sun. Neptune is another gas giant, and like Uranus, it has methane in its atmosphere, so it looks blue. Neptune is darker blue than Uranus, and scientists aren't sure why. Neptune has a few rings and 14 moons that we know. Because Neptune is so far out in the space, it takes very long to go around the Sun. Remember, Mercury only takes 88 days to go around the Sun. Poor Neptune takes over 164 years to finish an orbit around the Sun. To sum everything up, our solar system contains Sun and 8 other planets, which are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, including asteroids, meteoroids, comets, etc. I hope you enjoyed exploring solar system with me today. Goodbye till next time.